radio talk show host and Boston Herald columnist Howie Carr. Howie, I know your listeners at WRKO hang on your every word. Give us your take on this latest wrinkle to the Boston bombing case, and how likely is it that this guy will receive bail?
I think it's extremely unlikely, JD, that they're going to give him bail. By his public defender's own admission, he has no property in the United States. He has no family in the United States. I mean, this is the perfect kind of guy to run away, go on the lam. But I'll tell you the craziest thing of all, JD. Last week we told you they had taken a poll for one of the bombers. They had actually spent government money because he's quote unquote indigent on a poll. Well, on Friday, the lawyer said, well, I couldn't find a place for him to live because he's lost his apartment in Quincy. So I got permission from the court to hire a detective to find him a new apartment that he can live in while he awaits trial. He hired a private detective, not a real estate agent, a private detective, and you and I picked up the tab. I mean, there's probably a dozen people across the street from where I am right now in the Boston Municipal Court today, homeless people, JD, who committed various offenses over the weekend. Are they going to get a private detective to find them homes? I don't think so.
So with a straight face, the attorney goes in and tells the judge, we're bringing in a private investigator to find lodging for this suspect.
Yes. He says, and he also said with a straight face, he knows it probably won't be ideal locations, but he'd prefer it over continuing to be in the Plymouth County House of Correction. Well, no kidding, who wouldn't, right?
You know, we step back from this and we realize this suspect is one of 4 friends of these bombing suspects subsequently charged with impeding the investigation. There's another associate of the Tsarnaev brothers who said that federal agents unfairly detained him over immigration issues. Well, that's once we get whatever actionable intelligence we need out of this guy, can we deport him, or maybe we ought to keep him under lock and key if he can't pass the smell test?
I'd prefer to keep him under lock and key, JD, honestly. I mean, these guys have been, the other 2 people that were the Joker's roommates, the guy that is accused of bombing, whose brother is now dead. These guys didn't speak English very well when they went into jail, but now they come out and they into the courtroom and they're kind of sauntering around and swaggering like they're from the hood almost. And the first words out of one of them's mouth 2 weeks ago when he came into court was, "What's up?" These are your collaborators with the accused Muslim terror bomber. I mean, it's like they're all thumbing their noses at the United States of America and the whole justice system.
Well, apparently it's not only for whatever reason, maybe schooled by their attorneys, although it's hard to imagine their attorneys would advocate that type of demeanor, but if they pick up the newspaper and not your column, Howie, in the Boston Herald, but of course the Boston Globe continues its campaign of indulgence. Now, just so everyone gets a handle on what the Globe writes, and I quote now, "Some immigration lawyers see only selective punishment of vulnerable immigrants, which only discourages others in their communities from working cooperative with law enforcement." And Howie, the Globe goes on to quote an immigration attorney representing one of the brothers' friends who says the move to detain him is, quote, overreaching. What's your take on that, Howie?
It's ridiculous, JD. I mean, it defies common sense. This guy is looking at 20, 30 years in the can. He has no reason to stay around. And this thing, we'll put a GPS monitor on him. Big deal. You could off a GPS monitor in a matter of moments. I mean, they've done that before with illegal alien defendants that they wanted to be witnesses in cases. Just up here in Massachusetts, and I'm sure elsewhere, they chop off the GPS and they go back to Kazakhstan or Ecuador, wherever they came from. This is ridiculous. The reason these guys aren't being treated like normal immigrants is because normal illegal aliens, they may end up costing the country a lot of money and on welfare and translators, etc. But they don't blow up the Boston Marathon. I mean, this guy took the two brothers out to dinner after the Boston Marathon. I mean, come on. Yeah. Not a day later. He took them out a couple of hours after the Boston Marathon massacre, and we're supposed to just give him bail? It's insane. And as crazy as the justice system is in the United States now, I can't imagine that he's going to get bail.
Howie Carr, about a minute and a half remaining. Let's return to, as you described them, quote, normal illegals. And I hesitate to use that term. Maybe we ought to reconsider that. But we've heard that plane loads from the southern border have ended up in Massachusetts. Last time with us, you were checking out these leads. What can you tell us about the, quote, children who have been flown to Massachusetts?
Well, the governor had his public safety secretary send a letter back to some legislators who were concerned about this, and they admitted that 7 plane loads of illegal aliens had been flown into Hanscom Air Force Base in Lexington and into Logan International Airport in Boston. But they said there were no unaccompanied children on it, that they had not put anyone on welfare, and that the planes were being flown towards the border to. But that doesn't make any sense to me, JD, because why would you be flying the planes north to Massachusetts if you're them? I don't believe we're talking here about Canadians trying to sneak over the border. So they've answered the story somewhat. They say nobody on welfare, but yes, there have been 7 plane loads that have come through here. And I don't know if JD, have you had any tape from that meeting in Virginia where they were trying to dump the
they were trying to send them to a school. They've tried to use monasteries and other places. Howie, we appreciate your input as always. We look forward to visiting with you again real soon, and we'll be back with more here on America's Forum.